So, welcome. I sincerely thank you for being here, and I hope I can contribute with some information and maybe be helpful to your perspective for the future. So, I'm glad to be here, and I sincerely thank our professor, Mrs. Kulacha, for the kind invitation, and simply would like to give you a view on what the translation industry is, on what the translation industry does today. I'm Luca Moretto. I'm the general manager of SMG, Studio Moretto Group. Studio Moretto Group is a group of translation companies. The headquarters are in Italy. As you can see from the slide, we are an Italian company with some other companies around the world, especially in Latin America and now in the UK as well, and then we also have offices in New York and Berlin, Germany. And we basically provide translation services, so we are an established company, and we provide these services to both private and public enterprises, and to the government as well. And well, let's get started with taking a look at what our industry is. And I would simply start with a brief video in order to give you a general idea. Then I will go over the themes of this video again, and maybe give you some, hopefully some good extra information and some remark from me. And eventually, if you have any possible question, please ask everything you wanted to know. Okay? Well, let me just start it. I tell you something about my person. I started in 1994 as a freelance translator, so I was almost as young as you are, and started, offering my services on the Italian market. And then, step by step, I came to develop this company because I had some problems with the freelance market, the freelance concept. And this is basically what we are discussing together for these 2 days. So I will try to give you our opinion about the possible threats and possible problems that the freelance market has. And well, as a matter of fact, our company has dramatically invested into the establishment of a known personnel, so we work mainly through in-house translators. And well, we are not a big corporation. Okay, we are a multinational company, but a small one. And all in all, there are 20 people staff, 20 employees, so you cannot say that we are a big company. We are a big studio, okay, but not a big company. And so the reason why we decided to translate into the main languages, for us the main languages are English, German, French, Spanish. The reason why we decided to translate into these languages, referring to in-house staff, to employees, is simply because we believed that in-house means growth, means cultural growth, means more stability and more security, of course, for the worker as well, for the translator as well. Personally, I come from the freelance experience. I started when I was very young. I went through 4 or 5 years almost of freelancing, and I was brutalized by this market. So, because you basically don't have fixed hours, you don't have certainties, you don't have anything in your hands, but only ups and downs. Today I have lots to do, tomorrow I don't even know what kind. And well, you don't have a opportunity basically to grow professionally. It's very, very difficult to have a professional growth because you do not focus on a specific subject area. Because today you have like manual to translate for the mechanical engineering, tomorrow you get another job on cosmetics, so you simply jump, let's say, from one subject to another subject. And basically, if you freelance, it is very hard for you to have enough time to do some research, to have some training, you know. So basically, this is the concept that I will try to discuss with you for these 2 days. I prepared a video, which is a brief introduction it's a kind of a social and economic analysis of the current situation of the translation industry. And so we can get started with the video. Please enjoy the video.
Project Management Guide. A sad picture. Most translators on the market today are poorly trained. Many young people rush headlong into the market without undertaking internships or training which would allow them to develop their skills and avoid damaging society or their own reputations in the process. Furthermore, the translation industry is unregulated. In many countries, there are no strict regulatory bodies for translation, and anyone can claim to be a translator when they know a handful of languages. The number of agencies founded with the sole purpose of short-term gain is on the rise, building themselves up on the constant turnover of clients and destined to shut down once profitability falls. These enterprises do not contribute to the cultural growth of the industry and instead cause instability in the labour market. These conditions generate chaos and impoverish service quality. Prices also fall because the service is generally of a low standard in every country. Risk to the customer. Poor quality of texts that often need redoing or heavily correcting. Risk of translation delays due to translators' poor computer equipment and disorganisation. Lost opportunity to establish a relationship with a reliable language service provider. Solutions. Evaluate a language service provider before buying. Try before you buy. Request a test translation to assess the quality of the service and the response time. Check for consistent references from the same clients over time, that the relationship has not been terminated for quality reasons, for example. Certified procedures for quality assurance with particular emphasis on the revision process, terminology management, staff training and dealing with complaints. Availability of staff who are solely dedicated to project management, separate from translation staff, and who are employed full-time to be available in office hours. Availability of full-time staff for key roles, project management, translation, IT, HR and QA, reducing the use of freelancers who are not as committed to the company. IT equipment for project management, editing, publishing and terminology management. Backup and disaster recovery. Update the language service provider evaluation for every piece of work. Assign work to 1, maximum 2 competent LSPs. This ensures more uniformity across translations and the development of a terminology base by the LSP over a large range of texts. Constructive feedback. Always give feedback, objectively presenting the weaknesses and praising the strengths. This helps your LSP to improve the service provided and demonstrates the client's attention to quality. Brief the LSP on your communication needs, providing assistance and reference material. Check check with the LSP about constructing a terminology bank and translation memories to ensure uniformity across all pieces of work.
Okay, this was just a brief introduction about what I will disclose to you. What is my goal today? Well, is to try to cast some light on the opportunities that you have on the market. Because of course this presentation titles a sad picture. Indeed, the market is brutal, is all about war with no respect, and so it's life, but you can find a way out if you have value, okay? Because valuable things with a value, very much needed. And I do not think that the world is only a brutal place to be. Well, here are some suggestions, some tips for you if you want to establish a translation agency, a translation studio, if you want to act as a freelancer, if you want to work in-house in a translation agency or in a major corporation or whatever. We try to give some indications on how to best organize your work, on how to structure something that can meet the needs of the market, because the market has needs. We cannot say that the market only wants low prices. It is not so. We cannot say that the market is all about bad things and unrespect. Okay, it is hard. But if you have the right offer, you can find somebody that needs this offer, and so move on and have hopefully a happy life. So this is our goal. Let's take a look at the first slide. If you want, you can maybe. Okay, we can close this. It's who I am. So it's the next one. The next slide gives you a general sad picture, a general analysis of reality. Let's start in another way, okay? We all complain because we say that there are no jobs and prices are very low. Okay, it can be so, but why? To our eyes, and believe me, we work in Italy, we work in Europe, we work in England, we work in many nations in Europe, and we also work in Latin American and in the Anglo-Saxon markets, so we have a good picture of the things. To our eyes, prices go down because service quality is not satisfactory. So clients perceive we have no value. That's the point of it. Clients perceive we have no value. Why? Because we do commit mistakes. We are not so perfect, and this should be said. We are not able to provide the right solutions. And this is true 80% of times. So the service is not satisfactory, and we are perceived as simply linguists with no understanding of what counts, of what really is useful. And we do mistakes, we do errors, we confuse people, okay? And it can be so. I give you my personal experience. I took my degrees as an interpreter, and when I went to Latin America to open the Peruvian company we have, I cannot speak Spanish, and I referred to a local interpreter who was, really a renowned person. We were going to talk about language services, so about things that this person may know. And we had some meetings with the local stakeholders, and well, the very first meeting I realized that my message did not pass through. And you know, it was very hard to tell my colleague, no, come on, better if we do it differently. And as a matter of fact, I couldn't be helped by a professional interpreter because the message was distorted, really. I mean, literally, you had the translation, but the very meaning, the very concepts were totally distorted, or maybe some important nuances, some important, you know, aspects were totally missing. And so I had the first-hand experience of the fact that something with our professionality maybe is wrong. Why? Well, as I said, poor quality level, 80% of cases. Of course, in 20% of cases we have wonderful quality. I do not question this, but we talk in general terms, okay? We look at statistics now. Why? Simply because translators and interpreters on the market are mostly young people, as we are. I'm young, you are young. And, but they are young, they simply dived into this market. They started working with no training, with no internships, with no first-hand experience on these, on the subject matters, on the themes. So basically, they finish their study and start work, and so they offer themselves on the market, and they go on the internet where you have these wonderful, I will not name them of course, these wonderful websites where you can post your your offers, where you have job offers and you can post your offer, and they start with no training, with no real-life training. They don't know what they are translating. First errors, first complaints from the client, first frustration, and with frustration, you come to a situation where you quit. And you change your life and say, in your 30s, in your 35 years of age, you say, no, I'm changing my work. I no longer want to work as a translator, as an interpreter, because the world is bad. Everybody, wants to get no prices, and you blame the market. Okay, nice. But we are in the market. We may like it or not. We have to compete, we have to fight and move on, okay? And well, there are some other aspects, apart from the lack of first-hand experience, of true training, there are some other aspects. For instance, the market is totally unregulated. Our market, like the information technology market, are unregulated markets. That is, there are no regulatory body that gives indications and regulations on how things have to be done, full stop. No. You know a few languages, you can claim to be a translator, you really, get started, and you get your first frustrations. And then there are many other aspects. For instance, agencies, you can read it in the slides. Agencies today are, they call them, the Americans call them mailbox companies. It's wonderful. Simply, let's put it so, you are an entrepreneur, and you want to gain money, and the translation industry is good. You can have really fast gains, okay? You make an investment, and you establish an agency. This agency is basically, I'm not talking about my agency, we are a studio, we are not an agency. These agencies are based on the fast turn of clients. So they acquire the first clients, They go to some freelancers and they sell the work of some freelancers with no quality checks, with no revision, no review, nothing. And they simply deliver these poor quality level translations. Sometimes they have complaints, sometimes they are not paid and they will not pay you, okay, that's part of our play. And so it's life. After 2-3 years they shut down, they maybe open a new company in another country, they change the name and they get started again. This is really dangerous, so pay attention, okay? Don't open those websites and think that those agencies are all, honorable companies, because in most cases they are short-term gain-oriented enterprises, okay? The result of an unregulated market where you are allowed to do whatever you want with no restrictions at all, okay? And then, what comes out of this? Chaos. Our market is chaotic. People are frustrated, prices go down simply because service is perceived as a very low quality service, and people do not praise you all the times. They may hire you because they cannot do anything else, but they do not really trust you. And so in life. So it's life. So this is the general situation. General means that it is 90% of cases it's like this. Okay. So the solutions. We have some solutions. I hope. Why do we have? Okay. What is the problem of this situation? The next slide maybe gives you some indications. We know that this situation puts some risks to the client. The client has to redo the translations several times. Okay, they buy translation from agencies, they get a poor quality service, so they have to redo the work, and they are very much angry about it. And then maybe they have these works delivered with huge delays, okay? And why? Well, simply because agencies are not up to the task, because translators' computers break down, and translators do not have a backup or a disaster recovery solution, or whatever. Of course, it can happen, but well, just to give you an idea, we do not use many freelancer translators, but let's say once every 3 or 4 months we have like a freelancer with his or her computer breaking down and losing all the data, and this is a true problem. Okay, and then of course. Clients do not have the opportunity to establish a relation with a reliable partner because they go around, they keep changing suppliers, they keep changing agencies or translators because they're not satisfied, so they spend their lives changing providers, and maybe they miss the chance to come to know a reliable person or a reliable agency. This person could be you, hopefully, in the future. Okay. So these are the risks for our clients, and in these circumstances we think of some solutions. As in the next slide, solutions for you as a translator, or for you as possibly the part or owner of a translation center, of a so-called LSP, Language Service Provider. Okay, agencies and the studios are named LSPs in the trade terminology. Can you change the slide? Okay, these are some indications we usually give to our clients. We organize seminars like these, and during these seminars we give some suggestions to our clients and try to help them in finding the way to organize themselves, in finding a way to find the right persons to work with. It's very hard. So everything, okay, take these indications thinking that you are like an agency, okay? Or if you want to be a freelancer or a translator, so in the future, take these indications thinking that this is what your client may eventually need. And so try to figure how to make these things come true in your organization, in your profession, okay? In your professional life. Can you all understand me? Okay? Fine. Excellent. First thing, if you are a company, if you are, let's say, Nike or whatever, Fiat or whatever, you should be capable of checking the quality of work of your suppliers, of your LSPs, of your in-house translators, of your freelancers, okay? Three categories, you know. How can you check quality of these suppliers? Well, I give you an idea of what we do. We use in-house staff mainly, and sometimes for the minor languages we use freelancers. And this is basically a guide, a very brief guide of what we do. So first we give a test, an entry test, because you cannot rely on CVs. CVs are the result of sometimes of a kind of
imagination.
Imagination, yeah, it's a good term. And they can be cocktailed in a very refined way, and you can read in CVs what you would like to read in your CV. Basically, wow, he has everything. Better than NASA, okay? So submit them an entry test. And then references. Okay, please list the clients, your major clients. These references should not be clients with whom the translator has worked one time, like I did 10 pages for Nike, and then what happened next? They left. Why? So it's try to find people with long-standing references, with long-standing contacts with clients, okay? Because otherwise they may have had problems, okay? And certification, third point, is very important. This is required from companies like LSPs should have certified procedures for quality management, for revision review processes, for terminology management. So they should have procedures in place that, you know, make their organization an efficient organization, right? And then the staff. Okay, this is a requisite for an LSP. An LSP should have dedicated staff, should have like project managers who only work as project managers, not that they do project management and then they do some translation and they maybe don't know what. They drive a truck or do something else. I mean, they have to be there available for you 8 hours a day or more if they are international companies. So they have to be there and be your interface, your reference person, because you need them, okay? Do you know what a project manager is? Is the person who acts as an interface between the client who has a need and the agency, the LSP, who provides the service. Okay? Then the LSP should have a dedicated staff for the key functions: human resources, IT, quality assurance, marketing. Well, they should have dedicated staff. So people who only do human resource management, IT, and so on. Okay. Then, very important, IT. Okay. Today is all about technology in our sector as well. CAT tools, Trados, Acros, MemoQ, many software. It's all about formatting of files. You no longer receive Word format files. Forget it. Okay? You receive problems. Problems that have to be solved now, please. So it's life. I had an American customer, and it was very, very, very funny. We closed at 6 in Italy, and he called at 6 and wanted some texts. I was there, and I heard there was a problem. He always had some formatting and layout requirements that needed to be solved now. Okay, right. And I was there, the project manager wanted my help, and he asked me to talk on the phone with his client, and I told this client, well, but we are about to close, and it's a difficult, with a formatting problem here, it's a problem. And he said, it's your problem, it's not my problem. Very pragmatic. So it's life. So you have to be, if you think of establishing an LSP, I think you really have to put it together a very sound organization, a very structured organization, or aim at doing so. Because if you keep things very unstructured, okay, maybe you can deliver services to minor companies, that have like 2 pages Word format to translate. There's no problem. But if you want to work for the big ones, if this is your target, get prepared and try to think that you need to establish an organization which is highly structured. Because otherwise, your structured competitors, your organized competitors, simply kill you. There's no way out, okay? So, backup, disaster recovery, and this is what you also need, because things can go wrong, and 90% of cases things will go wrong. Your server computer will break down, so you need to have some specific procedures that save your life. Even if you're a freelancer, you need to, okay, you have your laptop computer, but you need to think about having like a backup memory and these sorts of things, because the day will come when everything breaks down. Okay. So, and talking about quality, again, you can submit an entry test. You can change. Excuse me. You can submit an entry test to your translator, and that translator maybe gives you a perfect entry test because he had it translated by Mr. Obama. Who knows? Okay. It happens. So, but important for you will be to verify and validate these scoring. Is to verify that the quality level of that translator keeps the same and hopefully improves. So if you are in LSP, you should submit every single piece of work, every single translation should be submitted to a revisor or a reviewer who checks them, who corrects them, and gives feedback to you and to the translator. Because this is the only way for people to improve, to grow professionally as well. You know, you have to be proactive. You have to give a feedback to people if you want them to improve. If you have, again, reviews and revision are not just a way to correcting things. They are the best instrument in the hands of an LSP to promote the cultural growth in his translation staff. Okay, this is very important. And then, if you are a client, a final client, if you work for Fiat Automotive or for Nike or so, you should think of selecting a maximum of 2 language service providers. To our eyes, this is better. It's better than having 40 of them. 2 good ones, 2, 3 good ones, so a small number of them that you have selected, and who can really give their best, and with whom you can establish a dialogue. Okay. Then, if you have a small number of suppliers, you can of course help them, giving them much work, and they can, and terminology will be uniform because it comes from the same hands. Okay, if you distribute jobs to thousands of translators, everybody will eventually come out with an own version of things. Especially if you, as a company, if you do not have a kind of terminology verification system in-house in order to standardize this terminology. And then always give a feedback. Okay, we already said it. Always give a feedback and praise people if they do something good, okay, and or give them a negative feedback if they do something wrong, so that they can improve. Okay, give a second chance to people. Always. Then you should brief your translators always before the work commences. So give them some indications, some technical specifications. This translation is on, I don't know, tractors. You can find this glossary on the web. I can give you this glossary. Please use this word. Give them a brief. Give them some indications on how a tractor moves, basically, because they have to understand things. Okay, they cannot translate literally. We don't need it. It will be a poor quality service, a service that the client can find at very low prices on the market. And then we blame the market. Okay, the market is bad, the prices go down. Okay, but you should know how tractors move if you want to translate a manual on tractors or these vehicles. Okay. And then translation memories, wonderful option for this brutal life. The CAT tools can be a useful instrument in your hands to collect, to gather pieces of work, phrases, sentences, segments that have already been translated, so you can store them and retrieve them. I think you know CAT tools, and retrieve them in order to have a form of consistency in all the documents. Okay. So in general, this is what my first day presentation is about, and I would like maybe to have some questions from you. Okay, because I simply gave you a general idea of what, to our eyes, our clients should look at when they select, when they qualify a language service supplier. So you can use this information if you work in those companies. You can use this information if you work as an agency or a studio yourself. You can use this as inputs in order to know what you need to put on the table if you want to move on as a freelancer. Okay. So if you have any questions, I promise you that I can talk for hours.
How many translators in-house do you have in Italy? How does it look like? How many freelancers?
Well, our is a small company, so there is 20 people staff. By staff I mean employees, and we can say that 15 or 12, it depends, are translators. And we cover the main languages, so English, and that's why we have established a company in the UK, and we cover Spanish. As a matter of fact, we have a company in Latin America, and we cover German in-house and French. And we are about to expand our staff for other languages now, because it is really much needed. And as for the other languages, the minor languages, Philippine or Malay, and so we resort to the freelance market and really have big troubles. And we hope the number of translation jobs into Philippine or Malay will eventually increase, so to enable us with the figures, with these numbers in our hands, so that it enables us to employ Filipinos and and these people as well, because managing freelancers is really very difficult. Because a project manager has to, you have a text, and think that you have a project manager and his or her staff has roughly 10 minutes to assign this work and to close and to come out with a binding offer to the client. So you cannot expect making 10 telephone calls or posting a job on the internet and search for a translator. You don't have the time. And if you post a job on the internet, you receive 200 offers, okay? And you don't even have the time to reply to these offers. So time is money, and if it takes too long to you to issue an offer, then Indians issue offers in 5 minutes if they want, okay? You're out of the market. So our standard is that, okay, we can issue an offer in a couple of hours, but we issue an offer if we are sure that we have coverage, that we have suppliers. So first we need to be sure that we have a supply, and then we issue an offer. And this is something the other agencies don't do. They simply come out with offers, okay? And then maybe they tell you, if you accept, they tell you, no, we no longer have a translator. All too bad. We joked. Okay? And this is bad reputation. But they don't care. Because these agencies, and we are not an agency, we don't want to be an agency, these agencies are based on the turnover of clients, you know. Today I have 2 clients, they will stay with me 6 months on average, so 6 times 6 months until they realize that the quality is poor, that they can do anything to correct it, to improve our relation. Then they ditch us nearly, they leave you, and they find a new LSP. So that's why we prefer to have in-house staff, but not only because of this. Also because we believe that you need to establish a corporate culture. So translating is not a literal, a simple transposition of terms taken from a dictionary. If you translate a manual on a tractor, you need to know how the tractor works. Okay, you have to be a kind of a mechanical engineer, and not so much. Okay, but you need a company that says, okay, we have a contract for 200 tractor engineering manuals. You should spend 2 days in that company and learn and see how tractors move and operate. So you need a company who invests on you and gives you the opportunity to understand the meaning, the spirit of what you read. And very difficult. This could be a claim from me. We do not do so every time. Actually, we do so only for our major clients because it costs a lot. Like we have clients in the civil engineering sector and in the power energy sector, and we send translators to there to see how things work. They stay there a couple of days, they acquire knowledge, and they establish a relation with the people of that company, so that when they go back to their office and to translate, they can they have a connection. They can call that technical expert and ask, excuse me, that part of the tractor is okay, so, and that's essential. So in-house means corporate culture. In-house means that you know that that translator is available from 8:30 to 6 p.m. so, and it's also a matter of savings, because okay, if you have a lot of texts and you are sure that the time of the translator is covered, that he or she has much to do and there is no idle time or spare time left, then the cost per page dramatically sinks. Is less than the cost per page of a freelancer. Why? Because if I am a freelancer, let's say you want me to turn, okay, first I have to come to know you and many other clients. So it takes some time for me to call you, to send my presentation, to talk with you, you know. Then you send me these. Oh, nice. Okay, I can translate it. Excellent. Send me your purchase order. Purchase order. I sign the purchase order. I send it back to you. Time is money. And then I deliver this page to you. But you work with other 3, 4, 5 translators in the same for these texts. So maybe I'm not so familiar with this topic. Maybe I do some mistakes, errors. You maybe can object my work, so you can issue a complaint, reduction of payment. Okay, I do a discount, issue the invoice, you pay it's time and costs, and it is chaotic. Okay, and then for me there is also one essential aspect. An enterprise is part of the human society. We are a society. We all experienced what the financial crisis was, what the bad things of our politicians are, what this attitude is. And I personally believe that if you have an enterprise, you cannot invest in things and concepts that are not sustainable. You really need to find something that is socially sustainable. Okay, this can be dreams, maybe they work, maybe they don't work, who knows, but if you invest in something that is sustainable, in the long term, you will have a benefit, and the whole society will have a benefit. And now I'd like to say something that all the people say, you know, when you are 20 years old or so, everything is fine. Everything is nice, carefree, okay? But when you get married, you have children, and your life perspective changes dramatically. And so you also want, believe me, it is so, in most cases. And so you have, you really need something like avatar, something like this is the truth, this is real. This is not the fake, this is respect. You know, you really need values. You no longer work only for the money, because maybe after, when you're 30, 40 or so, you already established a kind of, you already have your income, more or less, and you realize there's something more in your life. And you have a kind of a physical pleasure when things are clear and transparent and fair, believe me. So I personally work 20 hours a day and keep opening offices around the world because I think it is fair and it has a sustainability aspect behind it. Okay. Life will change, believe me. I wish you a change of life as soon as possible. Some other questions? Because I have time left.
Yes.
I have time left.
I have a question.
Please.
Which is based upon my experience in the freelance market in Italy.
Yes.
Okay. I've been working for 3 years in the freelance market in Italy. And I agree with you on many things you say. But still, I would like to know what is your point of view on the fragmentation of the market. What do you think? Don't you think would it be better to have more links between the work and the market and the academic world?
Yes.
Because in Italy, as you will be aware, there are a lot of universities that are not recognized as for the quality.
Yes.
But this links lots.
So, opportunities in terms of I take a course at the university that is not recognized in Italy, and I don't have a chance then to find something on the market. Is this what you mean?
No, I'm just asking you if you think it's the case that companies such as yours should develop the link with the academic world.
Ah, of course, yes.
Because it lacks in Italy.
Of course, yes. Should be so. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's part of my policy. Yes, we invest a lot in the recruiting of new colleagues, because we believe we have a new form of organization. We're not the only one. Somebody sing. We're not the only one. Many other companies do excellent things, of course, but I believe we should. I believe that this concept and what we will see tomorrow, so all the procedures for quality management, this a new approach. This is something that should be taught, something that should be learned, something new, and so that's why we are focusing on the young talent, because they are open to take this new solution, let's say. And indeed, many companies do not have these connections. with universities, with schools.
Don't want.
Or they have with the wrong one.
Or they're the wrong one, or they don't want, or they don't want. Well, let's go more into depth in it. In Italy, for instance, I think it's the same in Poland. In Italy, let's talk about agencies. Let's call them agencies, okay? Agencies in Italy, by 95% are very small ones, one person, two persons, okay? And they don't really have a wide perspective. Having contacts with universities cost a lot. You need to have a specific management idea, okay? A specific policy in place to be more clear. We had this contact because I'm around the world meeting universities every month, and I'm not selling anything. I'm a pure cost for my company, and we are happy. And we have one person in Latin America, 8 hours a day, who basically takes contact with universities. So it's truly an investment, and it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay off in the short term if you think in short terms. So no small company or no LSP, no agency with a short-term vision will ever take this policy, because it's a true investment. Or you have major agencies who have some relations with some specific universities, but big agencies have their problems as well. They are mostly capital-oriented, money-oriented. You no longer have the owner who comes there. I am the owner, you see me. But if you take a truly big multinational language company, maybe there is no owner. Maybe there are some shareholders, and you have 2,000 of them. It's a new logic. It's all in the hands of managers, of directors, and who maybe are not translators. I was a translator. I know this trade very, very, very well. But I realize that in other companies, they are businessmen. I'm not a businessman. I do business because I have to, but I'm not the true businessman. I'm more of a linguist, okay? In other big multinationals, you have businessmen, but businessmen now do not have a long-term or medium-term perspective. They want to cut down on expenses now and have quick gains now or in the short term. So I think this could be, it's really, it's truly a problem. It's truly a problem.
It's a problem in Poland as well,
I suppose, because as a matter of fact, our chair has links with SKIK in Brussels, but as far as the translation companies, agency here, even if we try to have contacts with them, but they were short terms, just sometimes when it was useful for them, or that's all. And it's very crucial, the relationship between the universities and the companies is crucial in order to provide good translators and to make good translators and to meet the needs of the markets. So I think it's the same policy here. I think that it's difficult to find countries where the mentality is different from this one, because people working in an agency are businessmen, as you told, so they just want
Business is not
yes.
always fair.
Yes.
Business is business, we say.
Business is business, yes. Other questions?
I have a question. Who are project managers in your company? Are they just translators?
That's a wonderful question.
Devoted to managing those projects, or are they trained somehow how to face contact with clients?
That's a
Or
wonderful
are
question.
they just managers with the knowledge of 2 or more languages? What's
Yes.
the best option in your opinion?
Well, what is the background of a translator and how a translator is trained? We have a model, and our model is that of a project manager that comes from the translation world, and because the project manager should know some of the linguistic aspects, of course, of the service. And we started so. We started like this. And at present, I have 2 wonderful project managers. I really trust them, and they are really good. And it took 6 years to train them. So they are valuable resources. And 1 second, for 5 seconds I will speak like a businessman. It costed a lot to train them, 6 years. It's a lot. It's a big expense. And they are my commando, you know. They are special forces, parachuters. But it is hard to train and to form those profiles. And why is it hard? Because if you study translation, okay, if you study translation, you are hired as a translator, and I tell you, I hire you as a translator, and then I would like you also to do project management as an assistant, of course. You start as an assistant, as a trainee, and with time, we'll see what you like most. If you prefer translating, you will become just a translator. If you prefer project management, you have to decide and move and change and become a full-time project manager. Because as I mentioned before, you can't be a project manager and also translate, you know, because you have to be there. Client call, and you have to answer, and you have to give an answer. You can't say, no, wait, I have 2 pages to finish. It doesn't work like this. And you have your own staff, because my project manager, they have their own staff of assistants, and you have targets, efficiency targets, productivity targets. You are really under pressure. But you started as a translator. I studied translation. I wanted to become a translator. Why should I be a project manager now? That's the point. It should be your decision. Personally, I started as a translator, as an interpreter. It is different. And then I didn't stand the translation anymore, really. And I moved to project management because I wanted, okay? Because I wanted to give a cut to my translation experience okay, I also had some physical problems. I don't see very well, and so watching a computer all the day for me was devastating. And so I simply decided no. The end, okay? But it should be your decision. It's really hard for a company to say, okay, my project manager should be linguist, because I can promise you, you start with 10 people, 10 translators, or people who have languages in their curricula, and then after 2 years, you tell them, now you are project manager. Maybe 9 will leave you. And so you make a loss, the businessmen say. So with Peru, in Peru we have a company, and with Peru we, okay, now we have 3 assistants there. We call them RO, Responsabile Operativo, so they are the assistants of the project managers, and they have their degrees in economics. They do well. They do well even if they lack the linguistic competencies. And but you know, I like doing research really, because I'm not a businessman, and so I'm more like a fanatic of these researches. I want to do something in my life, and so I decided to do so. Okay, in Latin America we try this model, while in Europe we move on with the old model, and we see what is best. So there are no answers to your question. I could give you maybe one more intelligent answer. The best way is not to act as a businessman and impose things. The best way is to know every single person individually and have a personal relation with every single member of your staff, and keep talking, and together see what comes out. It's the only way. You can't, okay, if you have the big multinational company, they have the procedures. We don't have those procedures. They are the big ones, okay? And they say, okay, you have to get this profile. 1, 2, 3, okay, you like it, okay, go on. We couldn't do so, because if I need one project manager, they need 20,000. If I want to do a selection to find one project manager, I can afford to have only 5 persons starting as a trainee. They can afford having 20 persons starting. Okay? So it's a matter of financial capacity as well. They can afford overmanning. They take 20 persons, maybe pay is very low, okay, and then they find one. Eventually one passes this selection. I can only have 5. So I have less opportunities. I don't know if I could answer your question. If I keep talking about management, then
I hardly believe that you didn't attend management courses, because you speak like a manager.
yes. What do you mean with management courses? On what?
Because I slightly disagree with that statement that managers or project managers shouldn't be businessmen, because I think that it's a matter of professionalism.
You are right.
And whatever is the substance or matter of business to do, I think that the project manager is somehow he has to do something according to rules, according to mission of the firm, or how you call it.
Indeed.
And I wouldn't say that every businessman just have to act as a businessman. There is a mission behind it, and I believe in this.
Sure, no, you are right. I take two points in your statement. One, so to make sure I got your statement correct, okay? One is that project managers should have a business vision, an understanding of business, of the business they are doing, okay? And second, you say that being a businessman doesn't mean that you have to be nasty and bad. Did you say? Okay,
Yes,
I totally agree with these two sentences. And in terms of being nasty and bad, I agree with you. As a matter of fact, I am a businessman, and for all my life I've never been nasty or too bad, let's say, and I could survive anyway. So you are right saying so. And as to the point of business competences, management competences, I also agree with you. My project managers in Latin America, so those who come from economics studies, they have the normal courses that you mentioned in management, while the other form, the linguists, in that case it could be more difficult. A translator or a linguist is not prone to have a strict economic-oriented vision. It's very hard for humanities-oriented persons to have a truly effective approach to business. So,
We all have these problems.
and, but you said something that is really true. But I give you the two models, okay? Because I have two models. So with my European project managers, well, they did the project management course with me. And I'm the worst teacher. I'm very bad. And just to give you an idea, okay, it took 6 years to train them and to make them nasty and bad, okay, but already. It was so difficult. And we have an information technology system, okay. Everything we do is controlled and is done by means of a management system, okay. Or every single order, every single communication, internal communication, everything passes through this system that exactly counts your activity minute by minute. I mean, I and the directors, we receive reports, daily reports about the activities of every single member of staff minute by minute, not hour by hour. And eventually you can so determine the effectiveness of the management. You determine the profit, losses, the efficiency in the activities they have performed. So it is highly regulated and controlled by Big Brother. And our way of doing this control is really pressing. It is very much pressing. But, and this is something you will not certainly find in other companies. You may find this approach in maybe big corporations, but SMG is name of the company. SMG is the result of my insanity, and so I devoted my time to developing these business models and business instruments. But we do assess and measure productivity and efficiency minute by minute. Did I answer your question? Oh, wonderful. Because you asked a very intelligent question.
If I might add something,
Sure.
I actually think that I agree that it's much easier to turn a manager, a professional manager with a background in economics and professional courses into a project manager than it is to turn a linguist into a project manager. And that ties in with and that ties in with one of my thoughts on the subject, why the situation is so bleak in the translations market. Because what I think is that we as translators are doing a really poor job of raising awareness, of communicating what it is that we do. Because most people, most companies that even I've come across as a translator, seem to think that translating is easy, that anyone can translate or anyone can interpret. It's just someone knows their own native language and have some knowledge of a foreign language, and they sit at a computer and they just do it. And if you work at home, for instance, you have, yes, it's the perfect work. You don't do anything because you work from home. So I think that what we should do as a professional group is to try and raise awareness among businesses that we really should be valued because we devote a lot of time, because we are struggling to improve on our own with no supervision as freelancers, and that as I said, we should be valued and that should be promoted in some way. But my point is we should do more to communicate what it is that we do and what is the specificity, so to speak, of the profession of translator and interpreter.
You are right, but I think you would talk to a dull businessman.
Yes, I know I'm preaching to the choir at this point.
Exactly. I think the best way to let them understand what is behind our work should be to give them a real quality service. If we could really manage to deliver a top-notch, top-quality service, maybe they would see with their eyes quality, beauty, art, okay, and maybe realize, okay, you understood what I mean. Okay, I see that you really went to my factory and you learned how this tractor moves. You did it. Okay. And your translation is good. Okay. So only if you give something positive, I think, you may raise not much their awareness, but first their interest, their attention, okay? And then things may also turn out in economic terms, like prices could rise, I mean, it could be higher, not rise, hopefully not. So it's, I would first hand give a good sample of what we can, of what we should. And in order to do so, being an LSP, this is the Bible, we follow its directions. Being a freelancer, I think the best way, if one wants to remain to be freelancer, is to gather and to group with other freelancers and to try to arrange a sort of union, association, sort of organism, of organization that protects you, that helps you, that supports you. It's not like a labor union, not something that protects you, but rather a structure that helps you to organize your work, that provides you with training and with inputs. Okay, it's like the trade associations. Germany, in Italy, you have the ATA in America, but these associations all too often are just websites where you cry and complain the market and those bad businessmen. But really, if a freelancer could really put through these procedures, things may improve, may change. Like, no, I got a job as a translator and I ask you to revise it before delivering it. It would be the case. The only problem left, the only problem would be that you do not have a regular flow, a regular income, a regular security. And so you have ups and downs. Today I have 20 pages and I cannot say no, because if you say no, another comes in and you are squeezed out. So this is what is missing and will always miss in the freelancer market. This unpredictability, this uncertainty. And it is really devastating, especially if you then get married and have children and, you know, the nursery. You lose your husband because you cannot work at night. I mean, impossible life. But it's okay if you're 20 years old. Okay, you're fresh young. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Do you work a lot with Polish language at the moment? And what are the main languages that you work with?
Okay. First of all, consider that most of our commercial activities are in Italy or start in Italy. So we have a strong focus on the Italian market and the German market. Okay. Our main languages are English, French, then German, then Spanish, and Italian as well, follow suit. And we have then Russian, then we have Portuguese, and then Polish. So it's ranking, it has very, very good ranking, I think, and it has very good opportunity. I mean, I talk as an Italian, okay? It has very good opportunities because the attention of the Italian economy is very much linked to the Polish market. And so there are very, very good opportunities, I think. Not as good as those of English or German. Unbeatable. But, and well, we talking about interpreting services in Italy. Okay, interpreting services in Italy. We have something, some jobs. We don't have but that much outside of Italy because, like interpreting services in Poland, we have 2 or 3 jobs per year. So it's a minor source of turnover because we are not based here. So we are perceived as an Italian company. And translation, well, we sell translations to Italian clients, not yet to Polish clients because we're not based here. Basically, you sell services to clients of your nation, and I'd say of your city or town, because our services are based on trust. And normally people trust people who live in the same area. So we are trusted by Italians and mostly people of Brescia, which is a wonderful city. It's a matter of trust, and as a matter of fact, we are now opening these foreign offices also in order to have a commercial grip, commercial appeal for the local communities. Okay.
So are you planning maybe to open an office here in Poland in future?
Well, we are now doing some analysis, and we plan opening something in the East European countries, or East for an Italian. So Poland has a very good standing because it is a stable country, it has a very good economy, it has a good political position, and in Italy we don't have very good political situation, actually. So we need stability. And it has a good perspective, also in terms of growth. So I think there are very good chances, actually. But as a businessman, I have to wait for some data before. All right. She hasn't asked anything.
The question to you was, do you interpret it sometimes still? Like,
Me?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought that you said that you mostly just managing your company, but I believe that if someone once became an interpreter, it sometimes I got lots of pleasure from that kind of activity. So I think that maybe time to time it's not that hard as written translation. Really.
Yes, you have a sort of a professional pleasure, and as a matter of fact, I do interpret once a week. I mostly interpret conferences. I'm very much likely political interpreting, so political subjects. I follow some politicians, and but yes, I still interpret. It's, I like the technique, I like the challenge, and I don't want to lose that competence, which I may lose in a very short term of time if I discontinue the profession.
And I have also a second question.
Yes.
Good question, because I know that your company, as you said, is not that big, but there are some big companies like Scrivanic or WordFast or Euroscript, and how would your company compete with those very big and international companies? Is it hard? Do you feel like pressure that they can, because they are so big, they can somehow lower the prices, or how does this really look in reality? Like on a daily basis?
Well, when you face a very highly structured competition, it's not a matter of prices only, it is a matter of public relations in the first hand, and then of public relations again, and then of building trust through public relations. So you basically you work for companies, you work for managers, remember it. And what is a manager? A manager is a person with a 2-3 years term contract with a mission, and that person has to bring some objective results to his company within 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So that person doesn't really need to cut down on expenses. That person maybe needs to be sure that the communication of the company is doing in a correct way, and that he will not have problems. So if you compete with major agencies, it means that you are talking about bigger clients. okay? Because if you compete with a big SDL, Lion Bridge and so, it means that on your table you have bigger companies. Okay, you have a Fiat, you have Peugeot, you have these big ones. And bigger companies have managers. A purchase department manager maybe has to cut down on expenses, while a marketing manager maybe has the need to have some effective communication instruments in his hand now. So in that second case, you are most, maybe you have to build trust. It's better. As a matter of fact, big agencies do not sell for low prices. We do not sell for very low prices. We sell for medium, high prices. And we put an emphasis on the quality level of service. Means that I have to give you a guarantee and I cannot fail. If I fail, I'm done. Okay? So it's not prices. It's public relations, it's meeting people and finding the right solutions to address their needs and to be sure that by that date your problem will be solved with no uncertainties ever. And sometimes you find people who want low prices and okay, you have a scale economy, you cut down on prices. But quality also goes down sometimes, not always. Fine?
Thank you very much and see you.